All right, welcome everybody. What we're going to do in this video is we're just going to demonstrate a few different visual ways of doing multiplication, some different methods from around the world. We're going to start with the Japanese multiplication method. And before I get started, okay, I just want to give a little disclaimer. My Apple Pen is a little glitchy here, so hopefully it doesn't cause too many problems here. But let's start with the number 12. I have 12 times 32 here. Let's start with the 12. The 1 in the tens place can be represented with one line like this. And then parallel to that, a little further on down, we can do the 2 in the ones place. And we can represent that with these two lines right here. So that's our 12, the 1 and the 2. Now we're going to crisscross those lines with lines that represent the digits in the next number, which is 32. So let's do 3 lines in green. And then in purple, let's do 2 lines to represent the 2. So we have something like this right here. And to get the actual product, what we have to do is we have to count all of the intersections. So right here, for example, there are 3 intersections. In this section right here, you can see there are 2 intersections at the top and 6 intersections at the bottom. And of course, 2 plus 6 will give us 8. And then we have, in this part right here, we have 4 intersections. So we have 3, 8, 4. And the product, 12 times 32, is indeed 384. Okay, let's look at another method. Let's look at the lattice multiplication method. This time I have 124 times 14. This method is a little bit different. We're not going to draw lines. We're going to place numbers in boxes like these. So I have the 3 digits 1, 2, and 4 across. And the 2-digit number 14 I have represented with blocks going vertical. And within each block, what we have is we have them separated by a diagonal line. So in the upper left corner, we put the tens digit. And if there is no tens digit, we put a 0. And at the bottom right, we have the ones digit. So we're just going to multiply length by width more, so to speak here. Okay, we're just going to do 1 times 1. So I'm just doing 1 times 1 right here, which is 1. So I write 0, 1. It's a 1-digit number. And then I do the same thing with 2 times 1, which is 2. And then I do 4 times 1, which is 4. Then I do 1 times 4, which is 4. 2 times 4, which is 8. And then finally, in this last box, we get an actual 2-digit number. 4 times 4 is 16. And then what we do is we start adding digits together, but we do them in this diagonal method right here. So inside the first digit here, I just have a 6. In this next diagonal column, I have 8 plus 1 plus 4, which is 13. And 13 is a 2-digit number, so what you do in those cases is you have to carry the 1. So we have 13, so I put the 3 here, and I just carry the 1 up here somewhere. And now I add the next numbers, and I have 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 7. And then in the last diagonal column, I have just 1. And those are the answer. That's the answer to the question. Okay, we have 124 times 14, and that is equal to 1736. Okay, let's try another method. Let's try the Egyptian multiplication method. And perhaps this one is a little more complicated. Okay, there's a few more steps to this one, but it's still fun to do. And definitely fun to just check out a different perspective here. So we use 2 columns in, well, it's not we, but anyway. The Egyptian multiplication method uses 2 columns. So in the 124 column, we start at 1, And we keep doubling the numbers up until we reach up to a maximum of 124. So I stopped at 64 because the next number is 128, and that's greater than 124. So I have to stop at 64. In the second column, what I've done is I've started at not 1, but I started at the number that's at the very top, which is the 14. So I started with 14, but then again, I doubled all of the numbers and I went right down to the end. And those are the numbers I have. Now from there, we have to do some subtraction. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to look on the left side, and I'm going to start with my number of 124 at the top, and I'm going to subtract the bottom number, which is 64, and then that's going to give us an answer of 60. Then I take that 60 and I subtract the next number above on the left side, which is a 32, and I wind up with 28. Then I take that 28 and I subtract the next number, which is 16, and that gives me 12. I continue that pattern. I go 12 minus 8, which is 4, and then I take the next number, 4 minus 4, which is 0, and when you get to 0, that's when you stop. So what that tells us, it tells us that 124, the number at the top, is equal to the sum of all these numbers here, which is 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4. Okay, we didn't use the 2 and the 1 that's above the 4. So we're just going to eliminate those numbers right there. And then you might say, well, what is 124 times 14? We haven't gotten to that yet. We're almost there. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to look at the right side of the column here, these numbers right here, and we're just going to add those all together. And if you go 56 plus 112 and so on, add all those numbers together, you're going to get a total of 1736, which is the product. Okay, let's go with one more method. This method is called the Russian peasant method. Okay, let's take a look at this one right here. It's similar. Okay, we're going to multiply these two numbers. We're going to make two columns once again. So this one is kind of similar, but a little bit different. Okay, instead of starting at 1, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the number itself, which is 124. And instead of doubling the number, we're going to half the number. So half of 124 is 62. Half of 62 is 31. And from this point, okay, when we get half of a number, we get into decimal numbers, so we round down. So 31, half of 31 is 15 and a half, 15.5. We round it down to 15. Half of 15 is 7.5. We round out down to 7. Half of 7 is 3.5. We round down to 3, and so on. And we stop when we reach 1 on the left side. On the right side, you're going to double, starting with 14. So you're going to double 14 and you get 28. Double that and you get 56, 112, 224, and so on. And we go right down to the 1. So you get down to 896 on the right side. And then it says, we must ignore all the rows with even numbers in the left column. So if you look at the left column, the top two numbers are even numbers. So we're going to ignore this one because of the 124. And 62 is also an even number, so we're going to eliminate that one as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to add up all of these numbers here, which if you remember from the previous slide, it's the exact same numbers. And we add those all together and you end up with 1736.